All right, it's Old Man Rick reporting in. I just want to give you guys a rundown of what my training has looked like since I was not able to upload. I believe it was yesterday, maybe today. I think so. Was it yesterday? Yes, it was. Okay. So yesterday, this is what I did, guys. I did decline close grip with the Swiss bar, right? Close grip decline. So it's like this. It's almost like a JM press, right? Feels really good. Like you're pushing the handles because they're so close. You can't get under it. So they like rest here. So it's kind of like you're pushing in. It's like when you do the dumbbells. If you have two dumbbells and you push them together and do the bench like that, except you can go a lot heavier. So I did that in the morning, and then I had to go to ring training for my job. And then right after that, I had strength and conditioning that I had to do, gym for my job. And that was incline bench pressing, dumbbell overhead pressing, and some shoulders and tricep stuff, like more of like conjugate style. And then I got home and I took a couple hours to eat and digest, and then I did some RDLs. So that's a day in the life of Ricky B there. That's a lot of activity, isn't it? So if you guys, maybe you're eating a dozen bagels and you're getting fat, you're not getting stacked and jacked too. I mean, just think about how you're training. Think about how often you're training. Now listen, I don't train that much every single day, but like today, for instance, I did the arm blaster doozy again to try that out. So I did straight bar curls, and then I did a lot of reverse curls with the arm blaster, and man, it just fries the forearms. It's great. And then I went back to do more of the close grip decline benching. It's kind of like my specializing movement that I'm doing right now. And the other stuff's kind of, neglected muscle groups. But I actually felt fine today after training that much yesterday too. And really it's, you get a lot of rest, get good sleep at night, eat a ton of calories. And, if you start training with that much volume at first, you're going to feel like crap. You're going to feel beat up and tired, but like you adapt to it. And yeah, like surprisingly, I didn't feel that bad today, right? It's a one-off thing. I don't normally train literally 3 times a day. But my point is, like, that was fine from yesterday because for work, the ring training is its own little thing, whatever. I won't even count that. But for work, it was 1 hour in the gym. Even more like 50 minutes because, the first 10 minutes are warming up. So 50 minutes there doing that stuff. In the morning, it's probably like 45 minutes because then I had to get ready to go to work. And then at night, it was probably 45 to an hour. So really, I mean, if you're looking at it, like between 2.5 and 3 hours, like that's a long time to be training, but really that's not anything that out there, that crazy. So just something for you guys to think about to split up your training that way. Because, I made a comment the other video that like when I have no direction, like nothing I want to really specialize in, and if I have a lot of free time that day, I'll end up lifting for 2.5 hours anyways. So it's like that 2.5 hours in that one training session versus like that 2.5-ish plus hours yesterday in 3 training sessions. Well, I'll tell you right now, the 2.5 hours split between like 3 different mini sessions, that stuff was intense. Like everything I did, I went balls to the wall on RDLs. I went balls to the wall in the work sessions, and I went, pretty good, decent intensity in the morning too. Whereas if you're going to do it all in one session, you're going to feel pretty wiped out, and you're going to be doing a lot of BS basically with minimal effort. You're not going to be pushing it balls to the wall for 2.5 to 3 hours in one session. I'll tell you that much. Anyways, let's go to some questions here. Marcus Rokas saying he's been doing the same kind of training that I do, really, with specificity. And he's been focusing on pull-ups, bench, mainly with some sprinkles of some Zercher deadlifts since it's a fun exercise. And that's really what it's all about, guys. Do what you enjoy because you're going to bring more enthusiasm and passion to it, and you're going to be more consistent with it. You're going to want to do it, and that's really what matters. He's saying, is this still optimal while cutting in this specificity training style? I'm the heaviest I've ever been since the start of my bulk in August, and I'm planning to cut around February with a very slow approach towards, by the way, this is a question from last month, obviously. Slow approach towards summer. Any tidbits while cutting? I've done it. Okay, first and foremost, you're asking if this training's still optimal while cutting? Absolutely not. All right, you're gonna lose strength. Like you're saying bench press, like that's gonna be the worst exercise you can do while cutting. Like as your body weight goes down, your bench is probably gonna suffer. Like it is what it is. Now, with that being said, weighted pull-ups are a great exercise to do when you're cutting because like you're losing body fat, but that's gonna make it easier. Like you're lighter, so you can add more resistance like on your belt. So basically it's gonna make up for the weight that you're losing, you know what I mean? So that's not really gonna affect your performance at all. And you can still progressively add to the intensity, right? Whereas in the bench, your leverages get worse and it just messes everything up. So pull-ups are great. Zercher deadlifts also, I would say that's a good one for cutting because the main issue with that is like the mobility is the hardest part just to get down. So the less mass you have, the easier you are to be able to get under. And the leverages of a little more body fat versus a little less is not going to throw you off too much. The only thing is you might have a little less energy because you're cutting, but when I was lighter and skinnier, Zercher deadlifts were actually easier for me. It was a better lift for me when I was lighter. So all I would say is what you're doing. The only thing I would tweak is pull-ups are gravy, Zercher deadlifts are gravy, bench, not so much. Scrap that, replace that with like dips or weighted push-ups or something like that. But ideally do dips, weighted dips. Because that's the same idea as the pull-ups then. You know, technically you're getting lighter, so you should be able to move more weight. That'll be motivating for you. You'll be happy about that, right? Positive reinforcement. You'll be having a good time. So you just have to think about it in that sense. If you're cutting, don't do weight that requires good leverages. You know, like bench press is the main one. Overhead press would probably be another one too to not do while you're cutting. So think about it that way. If you're bulking, do these lifts. If you're cutting, do these lifts. And it says, any tidbits while cutting? I've done it twice with some sort of success, but I think I dropped my weight too fast last year, so I lost. Yeah, I mean, that's the main thing. You can't do it too quickly because obviously you're going to be tapping into your muscle's delicious. Your body wants to eat up your delicious muscle if it needs fuel, you know, like there's plenty of, you can make plenty of energy out of that too. So yeah, I would just take your time with it. I would say honestly, like, listen, I don't cut weight a lot, right? I haven't cut weight since I was in college wrestling. And all I really did then was just starve, basically. So in a way, prolonged fasting, right, until I made weight, and then I would, engorge, basically. But not the ideal way to do it. But I will say that, I will say that I think the best thing to do is don't change up your calories right now, right? Just incorporate a little extra activity, because I think that's the best way to lose weight is through activity, not through tweaking the diet and things. Because like if you're working hard and you want to build muscle and you want to be more fit and you want to be strong and all that, you need as many nutrients as possible. So I would say just spend maybe a little more time in the gym, or maybe do some sprints at the end, or maybe do like a little more extensive warm up at the beginning. Try things like that at first, right? Extensive warm up at the beginning, then do your usual lifting. Eventually, extensive warm up, your usual lifting, and then throw a sprint or two at the end, and eventually just ramp that up a little bit more and more. And then if you plateau with that, then start making the changes to your diet. But think everything at performance driven, right? And in order to be peak optimal performance, you want to get as much like fitness stuff in, and that requires energy and food and all that. So eat normal, do as much activity as possible, see where the weight goes from there, and then start very slowly tweaking how much you're eating throughout the day. Well, right? Don't ramp up the activity while you're stripping the calories. You know what I'm saying? Like once you start stripping the calories, keep the activity level the same then. All right. Another question from Emil Anderson. He says, I took a bet with some friends and I need to hit some numbers, like a bet to whoever can get to these numbers first. He wants to get to so the bet is to get to the 200 kg deadlift first, 160 kg squat first, and 140 kg bench first, and then the 80 kgs. So he's asking, well, how do I win this contest? His current squat is 145 kgs, so that is 15 kilos lighter. So he's about 33 pounds away from that squat goal. Deadlift is 20, so he's 44 pounds away from that deadlift goal. Bench is, whoa, you got to get to 140 bench and your bench is at 85. Dude, that's a lot of strength to put on your bench then, bro. I don't know if that's going to, like your squat and your deadlift that's very doable, but that bench, dude, I mean, am I reading that right? So you got to put 55 kilos on your bench. Dude, where's your friends? Because I'll tell you right now, 55 kilos at 120 pounds on your bench, that's not going to happen anytime soon, dude. Bro, like, honestly, that's crazy. I'll tell you right now, that's not going to happen anytime soon. 120 kilos on that. And then your overhead press is so if you're at 57 and you got to get to 80, even that, 23 kilos, so 40, it's like 50 pounds on your overhead press. Well, then I'll tell you this right now. Obviously you got to specialize with your presses, right? I would say focus on the bench because dude, you got to put 120 pounds on your bench. So I'll tell you right now, the amount of, between your overhead press being at 20, so about 50 pounds away from your overhead press and 120 pounds away from your bench. If you put 120 pounds of strength on your bench, you're probably already going to hit your overhead press goal, right? Because that's more than double. So I would say focus on your bench, just focus on your pressing, just specialize in benching because your squat and your deadlift aren't that far off. So I would do just like a lot of pressing cycles basically. So a flat bench pressing cycle, a decline, flat bench pressing where you're squatting. Dude, there's just so many ways you can break this up. I mean, off the top of my head, I mean, but the pressing is what's throwing me off the most. But yeah, I mean, so you're gonna have a bench and a deadlift cycle, and then a squat and overhead press cycle with every odd day, going back to the bench. Like, you're just gonna have to focus on your benching for the most part. Press as much as you can, and on those off days where you need a break from the pressing, either do the squat or the deadlift. Because yeah, you're not far off from your squat and your deadlift, but you're extremely far off from your pressing. So that's what I would have to say. Like, if this is a true, like, you're really driven to hit these numbers before your friend, like, depends how close your friend is, but you got a lot of work to do on the pressing, and you're not too far away from there. So I suppose like every third week or something like that, you can focus on either your squat or your deadlift then to try to put as much strength on that too, because I think you'll surpass that goal. And then once you surpass it, it'll be easier to maintain, right? Get to it. So you can even get to your squat or your deadlift first and then maintain them while you're peaking your bench and your overhead press. But yeah, in order to get the most strength out of your bench, it's just going to be all about variations and frequency. So, press every single day unless you're feeling tweaked up. And then if you're feeling like tight and all that, take a day just to stretch, work your rear delts with the reverse flies, do lots of wide grip like lat pull downs or pull-ups, like really high rows or face pulls. And I would basically say if you have access to like a neutral grip bar, that's going to be one of your best friends, because doing this pronated grip a lot is going to start wreaking havoc on your shoulders unless you're doing a lot of decline benching. Decline benching is going to be good. So bench, decline close grip bench with like a Swiss bar. Don't waste your time with incline, really, because incline's more of just anterior delt exercise. And yes, while that's good for your overhead press, it's still going to have minimal carryover to your overhead press because you're at this angle, so you're not really strengthening your core and your lats and your traps the same way you are when you're overhead pressing. So I would say single arm dumbbell overhead pressing quite often. It's going to be the easiest one to recover from and the least taxing as well with doing the bench variations. And I mean, just as often as you can bench, it's only going to help you at this point. So like if you have a slingshot or you do reverse bands or you do benching with chains, like just do as many variations as you can, because you want to do it as frequently as you can, but you don't want to hurt yourself from overuse. So just changing up the variations often, but still doing that pressing. I think that's going to be the way to win this contest.